All right, welcome everyone to another episode of At Wit's End. I'm not quite sure what number it is and don't really
15.
care. Okay,
15.
number
It's
15,
important.
lucky 15, if it is lucky. But thanks for listening. This week, or this episode, we're going to discuss, I don't know, something in sports history that Carson's involved with. Um, in
History.
Europe, obviously,
Quotes.
football means what we call soccer here. But Carson is now involved with American football in Austria, the first ever collegiate football program outside Vienna. They do have some teams there. They're trying to start a NCAA style sports leagues. I think probably a lot of students from Austria have been to the US or they see it on TV and see how much fun the kids at Alabama are having or at LSU going crazy in the stands. So they've started what is it, the Austrian
The
Collegiate.
ACSL, the Austrian Collegiate Sports League.
So Carson is the new offensive coordinator for the JKU Johann Kepler University Astros. Um, when I say he's the offensive coordinator, there's him and the head coach. I had asked him, tell me about the coaching staff, and he said, well, there's me and the head coach. So
Yeah, I
Carson's
will
had
say
to
there's
develop.
there's some experience around here because there is a semi like a amateur football team here that plays within Austria, but finding
Yeah,
coaches within the university community is not the easiest thing. So that's
no,
where I
I
am
wouldn't.
the head coach fit in.
Which I take that back. I'm kind of surprised that there aren't like one or two people, or that there aren't. I had asked Carson, is anybody who came out for the team an American student? And no, so they're all Austrians. Carson's actually brought in a strength coach. He's found a strength coach from his office that he brought in.
Yeah,
So he's
of
actually
the of
expanding the
the
coaching staff.
yeah, of what we need on the coaching staff, a strength coach is what we found. Something
So
that is important, but like of the importance of only having two coaches, probably not that most important.
yeah, so you're developing a offensive scheme, probably also a defensive scheme, or helping him out. Special teams, analyzing talent, trying to bring in coaching, trying to find fields. Hopefully, you're
we
well.
have we have a nice field. It's a
It's a
football
soccer,
field. Yeah, it's a soccer field, so there's no
and
football
it's not on
lines on it.
campus. Yeah,
No,
it's not on campus.
nearby,
So,
but it's a nice turf
so you
field.
had tryouts what 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, and by tryouts mean just first practice basically. So seeing who
Yeah,
showed up.
I did have you clarify. It's really not a tryout because nobody was cut. So
Yeah.
uh, I think the key is keeping kids or young adults involved. So you had what, about 30 young men come out?
No, for the first one we actually had about almost 50. I think we were like 45ish, which surprised me. I was pleasantly surprised, and this is coming from. So I did attend. Well, yeah. Well, I guess we can get into it now. So I attended the opening day of the ACSL Austrian Collegiate Sports League
He
football
went
season.
scouting in Vienna.
Yeah, went scouting to the Viennese teams. They were playing. They had a two-game day, a Sunday of games, and so I wanted to see what the games were like, how many players, what the coaching was like. So it was the medical university in Vienna Serpents versus the uh, the like environmental and life sciences university. Boku is the title they use. The Boku Bees. So they played in the early game, and
So what
then
was the medical one? What was their mascot?
the serpents, which made sense
So
because
well,
the
more,
snake
yeah,
that is on like the
yeah, yeah.
doctor's cross. So
So the
um
serpents versus the bees.
yeah, and the second game was like the primary is a matchup of the rematch of the Summer Bowl, which is the Super Bowl of the ACSL football, between the biggest university in Vienna and in Austria, University of Vienna, and the Technical University of Vienna, TU.
Who are the robots?
The robots, yeah,
And what
named
is the
appropriately. The robots. Univine is the emperors, which I know you love.
appropriate? I
Yeah,
actually have an emperor's hat.
not the emperor's. I think it's literally right behind your head, or yeah, I
Yeah.
think is
Well,
that
you
it
can't
right
really
behind your
see
head?
it.
but not the same emperors. But
No,
I
it
know
was
you
a
like
baseball team.
yeah, I know you like the emperors as a team mascot or whatever. But
Well, very fitting
yeah,
for Austria and the Habsburgs.
yeah. So I watched them play. So each team, the early game, the smaller schools had less than 30 players, probably 27 to 30 players on each team. The larger TU robots in Univeen, which is a 70,000 student school, is by far the largest. The second largest is TU or JKU at like 23,000 students. Um, but each of those, the TU and Univeen, had about 35, plus or
Yeah,
minus a couple of players. So not huge teams by like high school American standards or any football team. I think closer actually to like a JV team in size. Freshman
yeah,
teams tend to be big because a lot of players go out, but then don't stick out till junior varsity stuff. So in terms of players wise, I think similar to junior varsity. In terms of the quality of the game, so this is where it gets interesting. um, the the athletes are good, so the teams are built differently in terms of the players, right? So Austria, like many every European country, is a football, soccer country. So athletes tend to grow up running, are slimmer, are built to play soccer. Right, so a soccer player is kind of like a long distance runner, right? They
yeah.
large lung capacity, stuff like that.
You don't get the gigantic
Yeah,
Georgia boys on the front line.
so you don't get a lot of heft to players. So you have a few, but most of the teams are comprised of athletes. So you really have to adjust your style. So like offensive lines are like players that would normally be playing like a tailback wide receiver. Some of them in the U.S., but here they're playing offensive line because they need some size on their line. They need some strength on the line. Um, but they tend to run spread offenses because of this. Made sense. A lot of athletes probably want to run a spread. Problem is they try to throw the football, and that's where the offense breaks down. The throwing of the quarterbacks was not great, and so when
Was
watching,
there a
I was
tight
like,
spiral and anything?
no, there's some spirals, but like one of the quarterbacks, he was throwing to a area, not a receiver, and was just hoping that his receiver was in that area.
Kind of like
Um,
three flies up.
yeah, yeah. Half the time, like there was more defenders in the area than receivers. So, um,
Was
it,
he intercepted? Do the defensive under?
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
There was a couple pick sixes that I saw and a couple more interceptions. Actually, the first touchdown in the later game was a pick six, if I remember right. Um, but yeah, like the quality of the passing game is not there, and so you'd expect them to run more, but they
yeah.
just don't. And like some of the one of the teams that wasn't throwing the ball really well had actually a really good running back. I mean, he rattled off. If it wasn't for a penalty, he had the 80-yard sweep basically,
Hmm.
and could have they could have continued to just ground and pound and mix up running plays, and it would have been very successful. No, I know the offensive line size wasn't there, but you know they could have been successful running the ball because they have athleticism.
That said, I mean, yeah, I'm thinking you probably won't. It'd be great to have a great offensive line, but if you've got a quarterback who can throw, a couple of receivers with some soft hands, and a decent running back, I think you'd probably dominate the league. I mean, look at American football. Some of the running backs
I
that
think
we have.
I think the key is like to get a guy in space with the ball. So you get a receiver
Yeah,
in space, 5 yards, like short passing, high percentage. Get him in space, let him do his thing. Like that's kind of I think the name of the game in Austria. Kind of the same as running the ball, like a pitch outside. Get him in space, let him do his thing.
hmm,
Like the other thing too is like receivers hands aren't the greatest here. You don't grow up playing catch in the backyard, so like
no, they
there's a lot
probably
of
want to kick the ball with their foot.
yeah, there's a lot of stone hands in the in the receiving cores and the teams here in Austria, Butterfingers as well. So there's
Well,
that
when
dynamic too.
you've had a few practices, your receivers, when you say soft hands, do they even know what that means?
I've taught them what it means, but no, not at
Okay.
first. Yeah, yeah.
Because I would think
So
it's the opposite of what they think of American football, rough and tough, and you're asking for
yeah,
kids
soft.
that have soft hands.
Yeah, so to finish up like the first game day I went to, so the early game definitely not as high quality as the later game. So the later game being a rematch of the Super Bowl between the two best teams and the biggest teams, Super Bowl, the Summer Bowl, at the ACSL. It was a good quality game. Like the player quality was definitely much higher. The coaching quality was higher. Um, the score was actually worse. So
What was the score?
shockingly, Univeen actually won the Summer Bowl, so the previous championship. The T Robots got it back. In the opening game, at least, they dominated 45-7. A lot of turnovers by Univeen, and they one of the things I think that was key to them, they had the most successful running game of all the teams there. Of the four teams, they had a very successful running game, and they stuck to it. They were running the ball like with consistency. Univeen and all the other schools, they kept in the spread, trying to pass the ball, and I think
Yeah,
the success of TU really showed. I think with the running game, and they were I mean they were good. Univeen had a lot of turnovers, a lot of mistakes. Um, punt, they had a punt fumble, a punt muff. They had a kickoff muff. They had a pick six was the first score
what was
for
the
TU.
kickoff? Uh, I, I know we talked a little bit, and I know on your team you've got some guys that can really kick the ball. So on the kickoff, are they kicking it through the end zone, or
There was a couple I saw into the end zone.
so
Yeah.
what was the muff on the kickoff then? Were they doing it
Just
onside?
no, trying to catch it at like the 5 or 10 yard. I was trying
Uh,
to catch it at like the 8 yard line or something. Just bounced right off his shoulder pads. Another
oh,
like
so he
another
took
thing,
his
like
eye
you
off the
don't,
ball.
yeah, like receiving a kick is unheard of in like sports growing up here. So it's a new skill that you have to
Yeah,
learn to receive a kick, and especially with pads on, it's a whole
and
new
with an
skill.
odd shaped ball coming through
yeah,
the air,
yeah,
and
with
not
the
in a spiral. What about
yeah.
the punts? How was the punting?
Not as good as I thought it would be. I thought it would be better. I, I think I think if you teach it to what they're used to, it'll be a lot better. So this is something that gets picked. So American football punters have traditionally punted a certain way that is not how a kick is made in soccer and football and European football, right? So you kick it a certain way, and that you kick it differently as a punter in
Yeah,
American football. I think if you adopt what is becoming a lot more common in American football,
oh
that
the
like
side.
Osby style rugby side kick,
Yeah,
I think if you adopt that and use it with your Austrian players who grew up playing soccer, I think you would be a lot more successful because that's traditionally how like a goalie would punt a ball
right.
in soccer, and that's how they're used to. So I think if you do that instead of like trying to teach the traditional style of punt, I think it's more successful, and because it's what they're used to and how they've kicked before. Because a lot of them, have grown up with something, know how to kick a ball, and
Hmm.
although the accuracy may not be there on like a field goal, like that's something you develop over time
Well, they're
because
going
of
from a
new
round
ball.
ball to
Yeah,
oblong shaped
oblong.
ball. So
Yeah,
unless they played rugby or something.
but it's that's something. But they can kick it far, like just raw distance, on an inaccurate kick. Like I was watching guys in practice, dropping a 60-yard kick off a tee.
Yeah.
Like there's some raw kicking skill there. It's just teaching the proper way and getting the accuracy down, getting repetition, getting the proper footwork. The 2-step footwork of a PAT and the timing of it. You have to do it
Hmm.
quick. There's timing to PATs to punts, stuff like that. So and it's just a little thing. So that was game day, first game day. Learned a lot. It was cool to see. The fans were hyped, so they sold out the stands there. It's
Well,
not a
before we
huge
get into
stadium.
fans, I think you should touch on refereeing.
Yeah, I slow. Yeah, refereeing kind of what you would expect. So slow. They had to talk a lot, figure stuff out a lot. Um, I mean, a lot of stuff went by that I noticed. It's low
Which quite
quality
frankly it
refereeing.
should, because if they were too accurate or too good, if you put an American,
Yeah,
uh,
college refereeing or something.
yeah, there, I think you'd probably have flags on every play. So,
Yeah,
uh,
but I think
so the
the
refereeing is on par with the skill level,
yeah,
which
even if maybe a little bit behind, but yeah, not the greatest refereeing for sure,
yeah.
but enough to keep the game moving along in a proper
And then
college
as
level.
far as the stands and the crowd, like you said, it was sold out. Oh, they
So
do have cheerleading,
yeah,
which
so
is
there is cheerleading, but here this was the
I want to
most
say it.
one of the
They
interesting things.
sell alcohol and have a DJ.
Yeah, so it's a
I
vibe
think
at these
that's
games.
fantastic.
Yeah, so the four light teams are kind of together, so all the fans are together. But they do have a DJ at the top of the stands and a DJ booth. They have two like MCs that are like pumping with the crowd all the time, getting everyone hype. They're playing games and stuff, and they're talking in the
But
mic.
they have an announcer too saying, "Hey, first down for the
No,
robots."
that's the MCs
What?
doing that. Yeah, the
Oh,
MCs are
the
doing the
MC is doing
announcing.
that. So it's
Yeah,
the MC is not for the entertainment. It's both
both.
entertainment and okay.
Yeah, and
So
announcing.
he's saying, "Hey, we have a first down, and then hey, another hit by Vienna Blonde, their
Yeah,
latest hit, kind of thing."
and the yeah, he'll get the DJ down, then it'll be like, oh, flag on the play, offsides or something
And
else.
is it in English, the
No,
MC,
all in
or
German.
so it's in German? Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, we'll say so the atmosphere a lot like a high school football game that we're used to, size
But with
like of the
alcohol and
stands,
music,
but with a party atmosphere and two beer darts, and
which
food obviously.
I really would like to attend.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
have like a fenced off kind of beer garden area where you can go sit on picnic tables and
So
like
can you
enjoy the
take your
game at
beer
field
into the
level.
main stands? No.
Yeah, yeah, you can.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. They have they're sponsored by Jägermeister, so they have Jaeger shots as well. They have liquor as well. Like it's just if you threw high school football, like you took a traditional like where we're from in California are where I went to high
but
school.
not Texas high
If
school football.
yeah, yeah,
Decent
smaller
sized
high school.
California school.
Yeah, you took their high school football atmosphere. You added a DJ. You added like a hype team of announcers. You increased the age to like 18 to 22 on average, like the average age a little bit, increased it a
Yeah.
little bit. Mostly students, not as many parents. And then you added alcohol and then it's just a party atmosphere kind of. They play
See,
games in
I think
between.
that would be great because of the revenue you could pay for high school foot. The problem is in the States, it's so serious. You'd have fights constantly.
Yeah, yeah, like
So that's the sad part of it.
the
Uh,
alcohol restrictions in the states are so strict. You can never get away with it. But if like
well,
you
even
could
if they weren't,
definitely.
say everything changed overnight, and that's most Europeans grow up with alcohols on their table. There used to be, I don't want to say there was no age limit, but it's been raised. There's somewhat of an age limit
It's just
now,
that's a
but
cultural
it's
thing.
really not
Yeah,
held. It's just not a forbidden fruit, which
yeah.
is in America, it's been a forbidden fruit. So you get people who overindulge and want it more. But that's a
That's
whole societal thing we don't
that's
need
the
to
root of
discuss.
the issue with like alcohol and everything
Yeah,
at like a young age is because of the stigmatism with it and like that's why in like Europe I don't like you have alcoholism, but like as a kid, like you don't like you're
yeah.
19 in college, you don't like just get
I can't wait
blackout
till I can
drunk.
drink. Yeah,
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
go to
yeah.
college and
Yeah,
go
just
shit faced right away.
yeah, like they have bars on campus here at my school. Like people just go get a drink and like we'll hang out
Well,
and have a drink.
and like the first time we went, Linzer Beer, which is the local beer in Linz, was on campus. So
Yeah,
I don't know if they
selling
were
beer.
selling
So
it or just handing it out that first day,
both
but
they
they had a
hand them
cart
out
right
and they
out in
sell
front of
'em.
this. Yeah. So um,
But
when
that's
is
a whole
the
aside.
when is the playoff for the collegiate level? You said it's a summer bowl.
Yeah, they have a summer, what they call a summer bowl. So it's spring,
So
like
when
early
does the
summer.
season start?
It just started. Yeah, it's started now,
And
but
it goes
they
all the
spread
way
it out.
through to summer.
Yeah, you basically play like one game every month or two. You don't play a lot of
Oh
games. I think
wow.
they have like 5 games in total for the regular season, and then you have
Yeah.
like a playoff bracket, like a 4-team playoff bracket, and then the Summer Bowl. Um,
So
so it's
folks, the sad thing is Carson will put together this program,
yeah, potentially
graduate, and potentially get a job back in the States and never see the fruition of his efforts
fruits
other
of
than
my labor.
visiting. Unless
Yeah,
things change, you never know what happens. But
yeah. So that
so
was opening game
what was
day.
the date of the Summer Bowl? Because I'd
I
like
have
to
no
actually go to
idea.
one. Oh, okay. I'll have to check
Yeah,
that out
I
because that
think
sounds like a lot
I
of
think it's
fun.
June or July or something. And from the
Eh,
videos I saw on YouTube, it was a good atmosphere. It looked like a lot of people and
yeah.
good party time basically.
And to jump back to the actual JKU University, the Austrian Collegiate League they introduce basketball, so they have a men's and women's basketball program now. Uh, Johann Kepler just started that. I think they lost in their first exhibition game. I think the women may have won. I don't
No, they
know.
didn't. No.
When I was there, there's no bookstore like at Virginia Tech or Alabama where you can buy everything from, a suitcase to skis with the logo on it. But now they do have merchandise. So looking forward to getting my first merch from University. So
Yeah, I'll show
looks
it
like
off
Carson's bringing it out.
for the people who are watching this on YouTube. But the official JKU merchandise, you can see
Actually, that looks pretty badass.
the
That's
logo
much
in the
better than
center. So the Astros have a duck mascot. I don't know if he has a name. I assume his name's just Astro. Kind of cool because they
which
have like
I would have liked to for those Americans the old Astros the dog from the Jetsons. I thought would have been awesome, but the
yeah.
duck I guess is
So you can see
fitting
there.
because there are ducks on campus.
Yeah, they have the JKUK at the bottom. They have the A
Yeah,
for Astros on the side. The stars in this helmet, I think they're actually after a constellation, so it's like a real star thing.
yeah,
Playing off, the Johannes Kepler as a astronomer,
yeah.
scientist, and everything.
Let's say that's a fact most people. So that actually looks pretty good. So that's my shirt.
It's you can have that shirt. That's all you.
So someday maybe the JKU Ducks will be playing in an international collegiate Super Bowl against the Oregon Ducks,
And you'll have an early shirt from them.
but
Very
probably
valuable.
not. Yeah, this says
Yeah.
established 1920
20.
2022.
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
Um,
So so
but
as far as
yes,
your team is, I think you have some advantages going in. I hear you have two pretty good quarterbacks.
yeah, we have some
Uh,
quarterbacks that have played before, that either currently play or played a decent amount before, very knowledgeable in the game, which, I can already tell they're better than every quarterback I saw at the 4 game or the 2 games of the 4 teams that I
which
saw.
is huge. So you could
Um,
win if you have some receivers and a running back. You could win
yeah,
the league.
I think our we'll have to build the receiving pool. Let's just say that, like they're saying, the hands aren't as there, or catching a ball from a quarterback that knows how to throw is a challenge at this point. So receivers who can catch will be a big positive, and then we can build a game, build a strong passing game. We have some guys that look to be good, little running backs and powerful
Great
and
kickers.
athletic. Yeah, they have some kickers. Have a little bit of size, not a ton. Some height is mostly what we have. We don't have any like really big guys.
As
We
far as receivers, though,
actually
height will be great. Jumping ability.
we do have some linemen. So we have 3 guys who had played line before on teams around Austria, that have some size or knowledgeable. So
And that is something you should note is there are some teams like the Vienna Vikings or the professional team there, and they did win the European Cup, if
yeah,
I'm
the
not
European League
mistaken.
of Football, the
Yeah.
Elf League, they are the champions of this most recent season, which is teams from around Europe, including Barcelona, Paris, Frankfurt, Hamburg, um,
And Barcelona has a coach from our local high school
connected.
that
Yep.
Carson went to school with, so that's kind of a cool thing. What
Uh,
about your head coach used to play for
yeah. So head
who?
coach, he said about 10 years ago he played for the Tyrol Raiders. So this is a
Okay.
team that's now, um, maybe in the European League of Football. I know they're in the top flight of Austrian football, which I will say Austria is one of the countries that has taken to American football. They've pretty consistently the best football team in Europe. They win a lot
Yeah.
of like the European championships, and for a smaller
Well,
country, that's
and you do see a
pretty
lot of NFL merch there, which I always thought was obviously Raiders are everywhere, but I think you said you
yeah.
just saw a couple decked out in Ravens gear at the
Packers,
game.
you see stuff you see in various teams, but like there is a lot of American football when you think about it in Austria. There's a whole league with like 12 teams at the high level, and then they each have junior teams as well. Like they have lower levels to it, and there's local like youth teams as well. So like there is actually a lot of American football in Austria. It's just kind of hidden,
And I
and hard
think
to
too,
find.
I saw on the Austrian collegiate website they showed some pictures. There were some girls playing football. I
We
don't know
actually
if you
have a
saw
girl on
that.
our team.
You do?
Yeah, we have one. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
What position is she potentially?
Not sure. Lineman probably.
What's her
Maybe
story? Just
linebacker.
liked American football on TV. You don't know yet.
No idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Do,
if I
do all the
remember
kids speak
correctly,
English?
yeah, we do practices in English. And if I remember correctly, one of the teams had a on that I went to go see had a female player playing
Yeah.
like consistently. And funny enough, I'm pretty sure one of the coaches on one of the teams was she I think she was a coach calling plays, but when she was warming up with their team's quarterback, she was a better quarterback. She could throw the
Really?
ball better than their quarterback. Yeah,
Yeah.
she and like she had height too. She was probably like 6'2". Like she was
Well,
tall.
see, and that's what I like is that it's not a big deal there. They don't make a big deal about it and put it in the news. So and so playing football at JKU. It's just it's not a
They
big
just
deal. We're
play.
here in the states. Wow, there's a female ref on the field, or oh, the first female
I
whatever
did see
kicker.
you mentioned that now. The first girl to score 2 touchdowns in California football history just recently occurred.
High school level,
Yeah, high
or
school. Yeah.
yeah, huh.
I don't know what high school, but I know it was California, and she scored two touchdowns in the game.
Yeah. See, where I
But
don't know if that would be a big announcement in Austria, even for a fledgling. And when they talk about it, do they always say American football to
yes,
differentiate it?
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. When
So if
you
I'm saying I'm
Google,
going to the football game, I'm saying I'm going to the American football game.
yeah, if you Google something here, you have to say American football before football, or else it
Huh.
becomes soccer results on Google. Um, and and I will say too with Austria. So I did see this past weekend the Austrian national team beat the Hungarian national team in American football 43-0. So shout out to
So
them for a
so what's
nice
the
win.
national team? How's that different than say the Vikings? So national team
They're
is
the
not a professional
Austrian
team.
national team. Yeah, all of
So do
Austria.
they draw players from like the
Austria only.
Raiders or the Vikings?
No,
Do they
just
also?
Austrian citizens.
So
Whereas
that's a
like
separate league.
whereas like the Vienna Vikings are international players and American players and stuff like that. Like
Oh, I
yeah.
see. So you have to have the bloodline.
Yeah, you have to be Austrian. Just like the national soccer teams, like same thing. National
And then
basketball
they
team.
play other teams throughout Europe.
Yeah, yeah. And Austria is typically one of the top teams, yeah, if I remember
Huh.
correctly. Which, again, for smaller countries, pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But getting back to the JKU team, so one of the things, you know, I'm trying to coach a sport that is for most people, most of the
Unknown.
players, unknown. Yeah, so it's their first time playing the game. It's their first time interacting with the game, and when you, as an American, you grow up with the sport, right? It's in the American blood. Like
Analogy I would
everyone
say
kind
is
of
probably like an American trying to understand cricket or Australian rules football.
yeah, and so, but you're trying to like for me, I grow up the game. There's a language to football, right? And
Yeah.
you know the words to it. You know things like line of scrimmage or chip
Or even
block or stuff
soft
like
hands,
yeah, stuff like that. That
wide
is like
out. Yeah.
yeah, a tight end, running back, stuff like that. Um,
You say, "Hey, you're a tight end." The guy goes, "Oh, thank you."
uh, um, so it's like stuff like that. Like I have to like pause and I have to be like, they probably don't know what this means, and there's the like lost in translation bit too, because these aren't like a word that gets translated often either. So you have to pause on words like that and explain like what this stuff means, and we're going through like what the line of scrimmage is, how to line up, um,
Yeah.
what the down system is, first down, second, and then there's the even more fundamental thing. What's a yard? How far is a yard? What is
Yeah.
this like obscure measurement that we don't use? Um, so stuff like that, you have to like pause for a second and realize, I know this stuff. This is like ingrained in my head, but this is brand new to them. Like as people who don't know the sport.
Well, or even little things, because the other day you kind of got excited because you got a kicking tee. It's not like you can go down to the sporting goods store and pick up pads,
Yeah,
or pick up I don't know, they probably have American footballs
they have the
everywhere, right?
footballs. Yeah, they have.
Oh, wait, which takes me back to the tryout. You said a kid showed up with like a souvenir football, like a little mini one.
Yep, yeah, we had our two footballs at first before the like our coordinator showed up with all the footballs for the team. The two footballs we had until he showed up were a miniature souvenir football, which I think was a Buccaneers football, and then a souvenir full size football with had all the teams on it.
I would have loved it if some kid showed up with like a football signed by Joe Montana that he just had laying around the house. His dad got it in America,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you're, who's this signed by Joe Montana?
Yeah, oh yeah, no big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, the
So,
the other one was like it had the logos of all the NFL teams on one of the panels on the football. So, like, yeah, that's where we started, and then now we have some legitimate
but when you
like
were at the
practice
game in
footballs.
Vienna, the equipment looked, the uniforms, were they Nike? They like pretty good,
They were nicer
nice,
than most.
really.
I think like every high school uniform I've seen in America. They were really
Wow, that's
nice. Yeah, high
yeah.
quality stuff. Well designed. Like the stuff was nice, and they even had it. I guess you can get it if you want to. You can get your name on the back of the uniform if you pay for it. So
Oh, on the jersey.
yeah, on the jerseys. But yeah, they had
Did
nice
most of them have it?
uniforms. Um, some
I
of
wonder if
them
they
did.
keep the jerseys.
So the one thing I noticed is some of the players had tape over the name. So like some player that doesn't play
Somebody
anymore
had it
gave him the
before.
jersey, like he sold him the jersey or something like that.
That's
So
funny.
I did notice that a little bit, but they're nice. Yeah, definitely nice equipment. The pads, I don't know. I didn't see them as like pads up
But
close,
yeah,
but I know that like they'll probably get them in bulk and probably I know some of the. So what I'm pretty sure I read is that um, you do have to get your own equipment, um, although they'll help with the
wow.
cost of it, potentially, and
I
they
wonder
do
how
group
much
buys
that
and
is.
stuff. So that may be that's a worrying thing to me, yeah, for sure. Because it's
Yeah.
yeah, not the cheapest equipment, but you have a year to get the equipment, and you have
Did the
pre-owned
teams
equipment
in
that you
Vienna
get.
have you said Jaeger was a sponsor, but that was for the stadium and the event.
No, that's
Can a
for
collegiate team?
ACSL.
Oh, so you could find like Linzer Beer to sponsor you and pay for the
Probably.
uniforms.
Yeah,
Hmm.
probably. Yeah.
That's what you should hire next as a marketing fundraising
Yeah,
guy or girl.
it'd be
So,
interesting, but yeah, so it's done interesting so far. We're I think 3 weeks in now. I'm starting to
and I'll
develop.
point out we're probably going to cut this episode fairly short because no head coach today, and Carson's got practice to get ready
Yeah, I
for.
got practice soon too. So yeah, developing my offense. Still kind of finalizing some stuff, but basing a lot of the stuff off what I learned in high school because I really did like the offense we ran there, pistol formation, but
Pistol.
balanced run pass attack. I think that'll eventually become probably more of a pass heavy if we have good quarterback and receivers. But I my philosophy, I like a balanced attack. I know spread is the wave in college football nowadays and even in the pros. But I'm still for a team like this that's learning the fundamentals, like having a fundamental offense that's simple but balanced, easy to learn. I think are the keys there, especially with You don't want to throw a playbook of 150 pages at a guy that's never seen a
Well,
playbook
that's what I'm
before.
saying. You're more of an analytic. You're very into analytics and stats and stuff, and keep it simple, I guess. Keep it simple, stupid. But also, I think I told you should probably start a pub night to watch American football, even though it's late, or get them playing Madden.
Which we
I
have.
think you said you went
Yeah.
and watched some games yesterday or a game at a pub. How'd that go?
Yeah, so I had one guy show up. He I know some others have expressed interest but didn't show up I think this weekend, but we'll have him in the future. But the one guy showed up is knowledgeable about football, plays fantasy
So
football.
he was into it to begin with.
Yeah, plays fantasy football, so he was invested into the games anyway. But still didn't know like a lot of the details to football. So like why the guys at the end of the line of scrimmage are eligible to go downfield, why the guys are off the line, how many can be on the line of scrimmage versus in the backfield, stuff like that. The details of football.
A lot of things that American kids would never even ask because it's just been part of their
Just
life.
known, yeah. So
And this is at an English pub,
yeah,
right? It's an
yeah,
English pub in
yeah. An
Linz.
English Irish
So was it
pub.
much of a crowd in general?
Not really for the football, because there was the local football team was the local soccer
Oh,
team was had a match. So there's some people there, and there was also a primetime Premier League match that people were watching, and then just in general, it's a pub people like to go
but they
to.
had a TV with American. The
It
what
had
game
yeah, it
was it?
hadn't changed. We were watching the the embarrassing, boring Buccaneers and Panthers game that the
Oh,
Panthers ended up winning, taking Tom
yeah,
Brady to 3-4. But
yeah.
the
Not a
early
good
slate of
game.
games were pretty dull. Not a lot of good games going on. I know the Packers lost to the Commanders, which takes Aaron
Yeah,
Rodgers to 3-4 as well. So, um, but yeah, not a lot of interesting football early on in the early slate, which
no.
is another thing I'll say, and I'll end it here. Just a football thing, but impacts of where you're living. The NFL, I grew up on the West Coast, so the NFL games were morning games on Sunday for me, 10 a.m.
Yeah,
morning games,
there's
and
still morning games.
yeah, so you're getting up, early and watching it first thing in the morning. You get up, you're watching football. Here, the early games
They are morning games.
are what?
Well, aren't they on at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Some of the
Well,
games?
not
So
the
they're
not the
morning games.
morning West Coast games. The morning
Yeah,
West Coast games here started at 7 o'clock. Yeah, so
yeah.
your prime time, and then it's 10 o'clock and it's time to go to bed. So you got work in the morning. And it's it's Sunday night, right? So it's just like it's so different. Instead of going to the pub at like you know noon to watch football on like the East Coast or something, prepare for the 1 o'clock start time games. Your Sunday night, late night watching the morning games on the West Coast, morning West Coast time games like late night, and the prime time best games of the day, typically Sunday prime time, are yeah 3-4 a.m. in the morning basically is when they're finishing. I'm waking up and the results are just finishing, so you see all the stories like right after. So but yeah, so I'll end it
Well,
here.
wait, before you end it, because a
Yeah.
cheer mom asked me, are the cheerleaders, are their cheers English or German? I'm assuming
Well,
German.
they're
And
not
two, is there a band?
so
Do they
they're
have a
not
band?
the cheerleaders are not cheering, they're dancing more, they're
Oh,
doing their routines, but they're not like speaking. um
oh.
they're just smiling.
So they're a dance. They're more of a dance team.
Yeah, what they call it, cheer dance. So yes,
Okay.
um, the band, there is a marching band, so they say.
Well, it's an
Um,
actual marching band.
but I caveat a big caveat: the marching band when I went to the game of on at the game day, the opening game day, was comprised of one trombone. It was just one
What do
dude
you
playing
mean?
the trombone. It was just one guy with the trombone. It said ACSL marching band.
That's but that's the whole band.
That was all they had,
There
yeah.
was there was no drummer. Oh,
No.
wow.
Yeah, I didn't see anyone else. He played the national anthem of Austria before the game, so that was interesting. On his
But he had a
trombone.
uniform
He had a
or
T-shirt that
just
said
a.
ACSL marching band.
Oh, okay. He's
But
probably seen the
it was just
American
it was
marching
just
bands.
one guy just like playing the trombone, walking around. And then
Hey,
he
that's
played
what
it in the
happens when
crowd
you
too.
serve beer. It's more
He was
entertaining.
like pumping
Was the
up the
crowd into it?
crowd. Yeah, he was
Good
playing
for
the
him,
trombone
man.
in the
That's what
crowd.
I'd love to see that.
It was funny though,
So,
but yeah. So under here, there'll be more to come to this. So this is a recurring thing. Practices we
man, you
have
got to
every
become
week.
like the Barstool Sports guy in Austria.
It'd be
Get them to
interesting.
sponsor your team.
But yeah, so this will be a recurring thing that pops up, talking
Yeah.
Austrian American football in Austria with
All
the
right. Well,
JKU
let's end it so you
Astros.
can get ready for practice.
Practice coming up, episode
Get out there.
15.
Get
So I'll let you finish it.
solo practice for you.
Yeah, I'll let you finish
So,
this up here.
congratulations on the historic position, and good luck. And choose. We'll see you soon.
So long.